Welcome to the Organic Wine Podcast. Hello, this is Adam Huss coming to you from Los Angeles. Thanks for listening. This episode is sponsored by Centralis Wine, and that's my winery. Centralis is a Los Angeles-based, ecologically focused winery dedicated to connecting you to local farming that improves the environment through wine. There's a lot that goes into that, from supporting viticulture that is regenerative, to using lightweight bottles and minimal packaging, to incorporating fruit that is native to our part of the world and grows without need of added water or chemicals, and many other things. You can buy our wines, join our email list, and learn more at centraliswine.com. That's CENTRALAS wine.com. It's a pleasure to introduce you to Rob Durham of Durham Cider and Wine Company in this episode. Rob is rocking the California Central Coast cider scene, but also makes cider that represents the entire west coast of the U.S. Rob's journey to start Durham Cider and Wine didn't follow a straight path, so this conversation rambles around a bit, uncovering fascinating and really admirable insights into his knowledge and experience at every turn. This interview was scheduled at the last minute due to harvest schedules, so we didn't have time to have a preliminary chat before recording. So I'm really getting to know Rob in real time as you listen along. And as I was doing the post work on this episode, I realized I have a lot more questions for him, and I really look forward to talking with him again. I hope that, like me, this conversation will cause you to want to get to know him and his ciders better. Enjoy.
Okay, let's do
Rob,
it.
Thanks. Yeah, let's do this. Great for you to be on here. Thanks for doing this.
No, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So Rob Durham, founder, creator, winemaker, plomelier, owner for Durham Cider and Wine Co. Did I miss any titles? Any other roles that you have with the business?
Oh, geez. Janitor, night janitor. Oh gosh, dishwasher. Yeah.
Nice.
Tasting room attendant. Yeah.
All right. Where are you from originally?
Born in Newport, Bad News, Virginia.
Nice.
Spent a couple years there, and then my formative years, I guess, in New Jersey.
Now, I see that cider comes before wine in your company, at least in the title. Is that true in your life as well, and preferences? Is that how you got into wine, is through cider? What was the genesis of your current fate as being what you are?
If you look at my fridge in my house, it's mostly wine.
Mostly wine.
Yeah, I got introduced to the natural wine and cider world through wine, and I really enjoy wine, grape wine. But
right.
Look in my cellar, and it's mostly apples.
Right.
And cider making, I treat it like wine making. Of course, the fruits are a little bit different, the apple and the grape. But living where I do, and there's so much opportunity to work with amazing vineyards, I felt like I couldn't leave that out of this business. But I think, the heart of it would be cider, but there's so much crossover now and blending with the co-ferments and fruit wines and such. But I think the whole idea of this business that I formed here came from working with an apple tree in my front yard. So yeah, I have to say I kind of lean more towards cider.
Which front yard was that, in Jersey?
Yeah, I've lived in a lot of states. Colorado.
Colorado. Okay. What was that? What did you do with that? What happened? What caught your interest about that apple tree, and what was the slippery slope? What was the rabbit hole? What was the entrance to the rabbit hole?
Yeah. It was a creative outlet, I think. And I was already in the garage brewing beer at the time.
Oh, okay.
And experimenting with the beer quite a bit, smoking coconut and putting that into a porter with some tarragon and ancho chilies and pumpkin, lemon cucumber beers. And so I'm like, all right, what can I do with these apples in the beer? and I just decided, I think let's just try to make cider. Um, we had so many apples. It was a huge, huge tree.
Okay.
And I think it was a Macintosh. I never did really find out what it was, but it was quite old. And I was just looking at a picture today of a carboy I was holding, the first batch of cider ever,
Oh,
six
nice.
6 gallon carboy, and yeah, I rented some equipment similar to how I make it today, except back then I used pectin and put that into the ground up apples, and I pitched some champagne yeast. But yeah, it turned out really nice, and it went away quick. My friends drank it up quick, so I thought, all
That was a
right,
good
well,
sign. Yeah.
this might be something.
Nice. So what was your process of processing the apples? I mean, how'd you mash them up?
Uh, in Colorado, there was just a hand crank grinder.
Okay, hand crank grinder. And then did you have a basket press that you lined with like cloth or something, or would you do to press that to
No,
get the
no,
juice?
no lining, just the basket press.
Just juice. Okay, just a
Slow
squeeze.
pressure. Yep, slow squeeze.
Okay. How'd that work out?
It
Was
was
it
great. We did it out front, and neighborhood kids came by and helped. Um, First year, it was 85 degrees and sunny. The next harvest, which was 2 years later, was snowing, and we had to build a fire. And it was a little community type little thing. Had some food
that's
out there, some drinks, and it was a blast.
that sounds fantastic. That's like the whole reason to do this in my mind, in a lot of ways, just to get people together and have a good time.
Absolutely.
Um, so, well, let's talk about where you are now. I love that as an intro into how you got into this. But now, where are you, and where's your winery? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting in it right now, looking out
Okay.
into across the view of tanks. Yesterday, finished processing the last of the fruit of the season,
Hey,
and
congratulations. Yeah.
thank you, thank you. Um, and I'm in San Luis Obispo right now. Right,
Lovely.
yeah, right at the edge of downtown. Lovely little town, college town on the Central Coast of California. And yeah, I got
Now,
this. Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Well, I should have let you finish, but I was going to say most people don't think of the Central Coast in the same thought that they think of apple cider, Central Coast of California.
Yeah, I would
So,
agree with that. Yeah,
so are you getting apples from there? Are you getting apples from abroad, so to speak?
yeah. I'm well, not abroad, but uh, yes, there's quite a bit of apples being grown in this county in Santa
Oh,
Barbara
wow.
County, the neighboring
Great.
counties, but just specifically this county. There are orchards scattered more than I ever thought when I wanted to do this here. And there's not much rainfall here, but there are some really nice established orchards, and I've worked with a lot of them. And there's some factors that make it tough. Maybe the pricing's a little high in some cases, to where I just can't justify using too many apples from here. I think a lot of farmers and ranchers take a lot of their fruit to like the LA markets and can get a really high price, and so it makes it tough to use the fruit for
Yeah.
you know in my
Because
winery.
it's like dessert apples that they could they could sell at a premium.
Yeah, so heirloom dessert. Yeah,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
so that is tough. So if you're talking cider apple fruit, got to travel a little bit. There is, though, if you look at California as a whole, though, California's up there, top 5 states for apple producers.
Oh, look at that. Never would have thought. I mean, I guess we're top 5 states for producing everything.
Yes. Yeah.
um, yeah, that's so. I guess it's not surprising now that I think about it, just because I mean we have so much space and so much variety of climate, and I mean
Yeah.
with elevation or latitude, what we can do.
Well, in this county too, especially, we have so many microclimates,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and so there's these nooks and crannies that have some really beautiful old orchards. So, of course, that's optimal ideal for me. And luckily, a lot of these are grown organically and or certified, which is very important to me. Uh, and I'm always on the search uh, for new sources. It's pretty hard to find wild or feral trees around here, but there are
Yeah,
orchards. Yeah.
it's hard to find wild or feral anything in California at this point. Um, I've found. I mean, other than cats, tons of feral cats in LA. um,
Back alley kitties.
right, totally. Yeah, we have a couple that we've adopted. But yeah, I mean, I guess I just mean, the everything is private land. There's so much private land in California. Like I guess the potential exists for abandoned things, but everything at one point. It's not like the Northeast, I guess, is what I'm thinking, where the apples sort of were planted or naturally by animals and birds and things like that, or just by falling and being reseeded around the mother tree. Um, Here, it's like, if you find something, it definitely was planted at some point intentionally, and maybe it was abandoned for a while,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of the story,
Old homestead or the such.
right? Yeah, we just don't have the lushness that I think is required for for apples specifically to just sprout up without human intervention, except in a few places. I'm sure it can happen, but well, you mentioned that it's important to you that a lot of these are being farmed organically. When did that become something that you cared about in your career as a plomelier?
um, well, so you're talking just with the fermented juice,
Yeah, well, I
or just in
mean,
my life?
like similar. It sounds like similar to me. You started with the beverage. I mean, I think this is what's magical about wine and cider is you start with this sensual experience of tasting something that just makes your mouth dance, and that sort of leads you backwards to like, well, how is this made? And then you start making it, and all you're thinking about is sort of that it's almost like a recipe. It's like, how do you cook something? You get these ingredients and then you mix them together, and voila, you do these processes, and voila, you have this thing that tastes good. And then after a while you're like, wait a minute. Same with cooking too. You start to be like, okay, but the ingredients can taste better depending on where they're grown, and you get different things, and then it sort of leads you backwards to the source, which is the earth. And then you start thinking about, okay, the way that we're farming this is actually really important to the end product. And then when you start realizing that, making that connection, then you start thinking like, oh, and it's also really important to the entire world because it's affecting climate change and our health as a culture, our health as individuals, our health as an environment. And I don't know, so how did that happen for you? I guess that's kind of been I don't know if that's exactly been yours, but it seems like that's the magical possibility of wine and cider, anything in that realm where you just fall in love with it in the glass, and then it sort of inexorably leads you back to the earth and its connection to everything.
Yeah, I like that. The magical possibilities. On my way in this morning, I stopped by the local farm to pick up a weekly bag, and I was talking to the farmer.
Oh, what was that again? You're just getting a
Oh,
little quiet there. Can you
oh,
say that
sorry.
again?
Yeah, yeah. On the way in this morning, I stopped by the local farm and was talking to the farmer to pick up my weekly share, and we were talking organics, and he said, like organic fruit. Talking about a lot of different things across organics certification and soils, and he said, with organic fruit, it's so nice because you bite into it and it's organic because it's got these layers of taste and
Mm.
flavors and whatnot. And then he said, and the finish is clean. And if you get those two things, and then a short while later you want to have another bite, that you're eating some organic, or fruit or vegetables farmed, I don't know, with intent, or with the soil in mind, or
Yeah.
minimizing the inputs. But to go back to your question, I think, like, for me in my life, it was I was on my bicycle and I rolled into a farm, Roniger's organic potato farm in Idaho, and that's what changed my whole changed my life, really, but changed my perception of food and drink. And ended up staying and working on the farm for 2 weeks, and that's when I
So
learned
wait,
about. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Finish that
Well, that's
thought.
where I learned about organics. I mean, this was 2000, the year 2000,
Okay.
and Uncle Dave taught me about eating healthy and farming healthy, keeping the soil healthy, and that's where I got introduced to organics, and haven't turned back since. And um, I'm not a stickler for the organic certification. I know that's changed a lot in the 20 years since I've been following it, but I mean, if I'm going to the store, I'm going to buy a vegetable that's certified organic every time.
Yeah.
It's just because it's important to me, and I've studied a lot of different, I don't know what you would call it, just philosophies and ideas, permaculture and biodynamics and regenerative farming and key line design and whatnot. And I had an edible landscaping company in the past, and it was always based on keep taking things away until I get to the bare bones of it. Like, why do I have to apply this or spray this? There's got to be a bit. I kept, just kept looking for the next thing, and I think that now coming into the present with my winery, I don't pitch yeast anymore. I It's basically just juice. I mean, that's all it is. It's just taking organic fruit and turning it into liquid and letting it go, trying to get a pure product. If any of that made any sense. Little tangent there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, well, I love everything you just said, and I mean, I'll just briefly touch on that, the thing about what you said about not caring, or not, you do care, but you're not as much of a stickler that it's certified in the fruit that you're using as, but that's very different than when you're at the grocery store. The grocery store, you have no connection to those farmers a lot of times, and the only thing you have to go on is that certification. You can't know how something was farmed if it's not certified, really. Whereas if you're working directly with the farmer, which we are when we're buying apples and grapes and things like that, you can walk that farm, you can look through their, chemical cupboard, you can talk to them, you can research, their pesticide use reports. There's a lot of ways that you can confirm that they've been intentional and very, positive in their farming. That makes it possible for you to feel comfortable without having that certification. So that makes a lot of sense to me, I think. I don't know if that's the way you feel about it, but
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. And the relationship with the apple farmer, the grape farmer, is very important to me. And keeping
yeah.
in contact throughout the year, and just talking, keeping the conversation going about maybe experimenting with maybe trying this or that. And so it's they it's their land, it's their farms, but I'm always kind of picking their brains and just trying to come up with. For example, one of the apple farmers, I said, what about if we don't spray any sulfur on the trees for a couple rows and just kind of experiment, see how that goes and see how the fermentations maybe change. And he was totally up for it. And, so just things like that. I think it's nice to have a relationship with the farmer. Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that go?
It's still going. This is year 2 with that
Okay, right
fruit.
on.
So went out to the
So is it
orchards last week and was really taking a look at the trees and asking him. And yeah, I mean, no ill effects from negating those.
is there no spray then? Was the sulfur the only spray that they were getting?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
these are certified organic.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, there's a couple other things you could use, but it might not be necessary. I mean, I think that is kind of the advantage to apple trees in California, where we don't have the moisture pressures that they have on where the apples are thriving on the East Coast, but they're also like dealing with all kinds of fungal issues that we don't have to deal with. And same with me. I've like I've three thriving trees in my backyard and never spray.
mhm,
Um, and that the dryness really helps with that. That's interesting. I like that.
yeah, of course, we have other issues that the folks on the East Coast don't
We
have.
have to water our
But
trees
yeah,
for the most part. It's a big one, which is, I mean, becoming a bigger deal to me now, just with what I see prolonged, extended droughts probably on the horizon for, I don't know, the next century
you would
probably.
think.
And yeah. Um, and who knows like how bad they'll be, and at what point do we say, like, if it needs irrigation, we shouldn't be growing it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think water, not conservation, but keeping the water on the farm. Smart design is going to be
mm,
huge in the future. There's
yeah,
uh,
recycling and that kind of thing.
yeah, on
Like,
contour planting maybe.
hmm, yeah.
Um,
You mentioned you're letting just native ferments happen now,
yeah,
and you used to pitch some champagne yeast. Do you have like a real dogma about that? How do you feel about that? Is that like a yeah? I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Are you committed to that
yeah, I am.
regardless of what happens, or yeah? Okay, you're good. Tell me about it. Tell me your thoughts about that.
It was kind of a last second decision with Durham Cider and Wine to not bring yeast in, and
Okay.
it was a tough one. I lost some sleep over it, but I put my full trust into it. Every single batch has gone off just fine. Um, there's always the slowed fermentations or the stuck fermentations. Maybe bring it outside if it's warm, or bring in a heater, or add some juice from another batch.
Right. Right.
But I have thought about it for about a second. And I said, no, no, I'm not gonna. I don't need to fix this slow fermentation. I'll just deal with it in another way. So I'm. I don't know. I mean, I just I think it brings a nice character to the end product, to the wine, with a native ferment. But yeah, I it works. It works for me. So yeah, I'm going with it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I don't disagree. I like it too. Do you have other similar principles in your winemaking that you are committed to?
Let's
Like, are
see.
you zero sulfur or
I am
zero
now.
other inputs?
I am now.
Okay.
In 2019, my first harvest. 2019 I used it a little bit, and 2020 I did not, and 2021 nothing at all either.
And is
But
that both in your cider and your wine?
correct,
Your grape wine, I should say.
correct.
Um,
Now I feel like cheating a little bit because I've only made sparkling.
well, that was my next question. Yeah, I think that is where there's no quality loss without sulfites. I mean, no potential quality loss, or I mean, you minimize your risk of quality loss when you're doing sparkling without sulfites significantly because you have all that protection from the CO2.
Yeah, and I bottle if I can catch it at the right time,
To
pet net
essentially doing like a
style.
pet nat
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
Okay.
Which
Do
you
you
know,
then disgorge as well?
depending. I mean, with the grape wines, yes, because there's quite a bit of sediment. But with the ciders, no, I don't have to, and I don't
Nice.
want to either. I think
Yeah.
that adds a nice element, but it also takes up a lot of time, and you kind of lose a bit of product too.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. Yeah.
but if I were to do a bottle of still wine, that's a whole other conversation. I know it's a big one, kind of in the natural wine world. Is sulfur, no sulfur? Is a little bit of bottling, is that a big deal and whatnot? So I'm not totally against sulfur, but I figure, yeah, if I'm making a sparkling, then I'm gonna roll without it. I store my two barrels, and they're old rum barrels, in a sulfur, a water sulfur citric solution. And so when I opened that bag up of sulfur for the first time and mixed it, I didn't know anything really about sulfur other than it. And then I took a normal breath, and it knocked me down
Yeah.
off my feet, and I was
Yeah.
out for like 10 minutes. And so that changed my opinion on sulfur. Like, holy
Right, right.
crap, this
Yeah.
is this ain't no joke. Whatever's in this
Yeah.
bag, this white powder. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, I know it's tiny, tiny little bits preservative at bottling. I don't know. I mean, I've drank wines that were amazing and have been sulfured like that, and so I
Yeah.
don't really know where I stand on that. But again, because I'm making a lot of pet nets, I feel like um, don't I don't really want to use it.
Yeah, you don't really have a need of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sort of feel about sulfur. What I should say is I have no judgment over what a winemaker chooses to do with sulfur. Like if you want to use it, great. If you
Hmm.
don't want to use it, great. Like I really like if, and if the wine is the way you want it to be because of that, great. Like
Yeah.
then you're acting with intention. I have no. I there to me, it's like, yeah, like you said. I mean, I've had wines that have been over sulfured, and I just think like if you use that much that I can tell you've sulfured your wine, then that's just a flaw like any other flaw in winemaking.
Yeah,
Like that's just bad winemaking.
true.
But if I can taste the wine and it's the way you intended it to taste, and it doesn't taste like a chemical or a flaw of some other kind, then whatever you did was right. Like you and it's sort of like I feel like we should trust winemakers a little bit more to make those decisions because retailers and sommeliers who are like hardcore natural wine have no idea the chemistry that goes into these decisions,
Hmm.
like when and the risk that's involved in like, not adding this tiny microscopic amount of sulfites to a wine can literally save somebody millions of dollars,
Yes.
and or lose them if they don't use it, and then to be so crazily judgmental about it at the end of the day when it's like you don't even know the chemistry that goes into these decisions. Please, like, leave it up to the winemaker, like just judge the wine on its merits. Like yeah, anyway, that's my feelings about it,
No,
but
yeah,
i
I hear
and
you.
I respect your, everybody's decision about it, really, if the wine's good.
Yeah, I wonder how long we'll be having this conversation
Yeah,
about
yeah.
sulfur. It might
I
die
keep
out soon.
having I have this conversation so that I can say that I think it shouldn't be a conversation,
Yeah,
basically. That's
yeah.
that's my whole conversation about it right now.
There we
But
go.
I think it's dying. It's definitely
Yeah,
diminishing. It's dying down. Like I'm happy about that.
yeah.
um, and so then I just wanted to get a sense of your winemaking because of that. But I also
Hmm.
like going back to the thing that you started this last little segment talking about. It sounds like you took like a bike trip across the West or something like that.
I did coast to coast. Port. Let's
Okay.
see, Cape Elizabeth, Maine to Cape Elizabeth, Washington.
Sweet. All right. And how
Against
long
the
did that
wind.
take you?
So we went against the wind. Everybody else was going west to
Oh,
east,
like
but
west to east, right? So
we
you went
didn't get that memo. So
anti-jet stream.
yeah, coast to coast, like buttered
That's
toast.
nice.
It was a good trip. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Well, you're all the more fit and strong for having gone against the wind.
That's
Did you
right.
just listen to that song the whole way across?
I
Like
had
the
a
Forrest Gump song?
yeah, I had a CD player and a pair of speakers on my handlebars. Funny enough.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. What was your least favorite state?
Oh, Canada.
All of Canada?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we put our bikes in the back of a taxi at one point. We're like, we never said we're riding across Canada. We're riding across the country, U.S. I mean, people were trying to run us off the road. I mean, there are potholes
What?
everywhere. It was we took a taxi into Toronto, and then I got my speaker stolen in Paris, Canada. It was just a bad scene. We had to get out of there.
Boy, this is like contrary to everything we hear, all the stereotypes we hear about Canadians. They just must not like bikers.
Phew, I don't know what it was.
All right. What about state of the U.S. going across? Did you go through the U.S. on the way
Least
across?
favorite. I hate. Yeah, we went Route 2, basically.
Okay.
Least favorite. I mean, I guess Michigan, but that
Oh,
was a lot
yeah.
of personal stuff kind of that
Okay.
happened there.
All right.
But
Okay.
the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, different story. That was a
Okay.
special place.
How
The
did you
U
get to the Upper Peninsula? Were you
the
like going
the
a long way?
UP. They wouldn't let us ride our bikes across the Mackinac Bridge, so we went over to Mackinac Island. They wouldn't let us ride our bikes because of the wind, and so
Oh,
I mean, but yeah,
okay.
it was a great trip.
That's amazing. So on this trip, did you make any other 2 week work stops besides Idaho?
Um, no, mm-mm.
Okay, so there was something about this. So what was that like? Like, what did you discover there? What did you see? What drew you in? What was that experience like? It's a
um,
potato farm, or was it
organic potato farm. Yeah,
okay?
and
And you had Uncle Dave, did you say?
Uncle Dave.
Was
Yeah,
he's the owner?
yeah. He passed away a couple years ago, but he started the farm from scratch, and in Moyer Springs, Idaho, way up in the upper Panhandle, and it's just yeah. He and we were going to stay just a couple nights. Ended up spending 2 weeks and working and just learning about farming and talking organics at dinner every night.
That's amazing. So what did you learn from Uncle Dave?
Gosh, I learned that soil is important, hard work gets things done, eating healthy will give you the energy to do the hard work, connections, like community, yeah, so much in that. And I went back after that visit, but
Oh, nice.
it just changed my whole mindset. Yeah, I mean, I was a young
Young impressionable lad.
yeah, but it was perfect. Yeah,
That's great. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, I love that. Little got a little waylaid by destiny.
that's right.
Um, well, so tell us about what you're making now. Like, what are the ciders? What are the apples you're working with? What are the grapes you're working with? Where
Yeah.
what? Tell us about that.
Oh
What's
gosh.
exciting you in your portfolio?
Oh, there's so much. I just can't stop experimenting. I do a lot.
It's an
Do
addiction. I'm with you.
gosh, yeah. Um, First year did some crazy. 2019, I did a strawberry cherimoya with apples. That was kind of wild and
Nice,
out there. Um,
nice.
I worked with some Grenache. And in 2020, I did some apple gooseberry. Um, Apple Chardonnay. I did been working with some bitter apples, which have been really fun. A little more tannins and acidity. Bitter sharp and bitter sweet apples, like varieties Kingston Black or Harrison.
Are they growing them out here?
Yeah, they are. These come from Oregon.
Oh,
Yeah, I ran into a couple in my hometown, and her sister married an apple farmer. And I said, "Oh, cool. Does he grow bitter apples by chance?" And she said, I think he does." And so the gist of it is he planted his orchard in 2016 in Oregon, and after harvest comes down to vacation uh, in my hometown. And so he just loads up, he presses the apples and loads them up, and they arrive 2 days later. And so it's been fun working with these fun varieties that have a little easier time growing up in the northern latitudes of Oregon.
right. That's great. Yeah, I like some of. I'm just going to give a taste of your labeling. So, a tribe called Quince,
Hmm.
uh, Blump Bloop Blimp,
Yes.
Invite the Night. I like
Yeah.
that one. What goes into that one? That's Grenache. That's your Grenache, huh?
That's my Grenache. Yeah. 2-day
Nice.
maceration, pet net, disgorged.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah. The trouble is I got to make labels for all these
Right. All the
experiments, and I and
experiments.
I gotta
Yeah.
you know
Got to be
bot
creative.
yeah, all that. Gotta set up the bottling equipment, take it down
Got
and
to get the
clean
label
it.
approved. Send it to
uh,
the TTV.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So I
yeah,
did
that's great.
19 different cuvées or bottlings in 2019.
Oh, are you gonna do 2020 and 2020
Yeah.
and 21 and 21?
I think I managed to bring it down to 17 last year, and gosh, this year it's gonna be like 15.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, well, what's done well for you? I mean, what are people? What I mean, what So you're doing like somewhere between 17 and 19. How much of each of those? Like, how many cases or?
Yeah, good question. Anywhere between, gosh, like 25 cases up to 110.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's limited.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
This
Uh,
year I'll make 1,000 cases. Last year was 800, and I forget what 2019 was.
Oh, nice. All right. And here's one called Everything is Mood, which is 75% Gravenstein and 25% Golden Plums.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Oh,
foraged those plums from my hometown, and that was fun. It's always great for me to get out and pick whenever I can, and get out in the orchard,
yeah.
or get get in the branches and smell the smells, and
Yeah, yeah.
sweat for it, you know.
Yes. Yeah. It does feel better. Um, I know that feeling. Yeah, I have lots of thoughts about that. Um, these are all like very reasonably priced, I gotta say. Like there's nothing over like $26 on your website that I see. Is that right?
That's correct.
These are great. Great prices. And your website is Durham Cider and Wine, and it's not an ampersand. It's andwine.com. Durham, Durham, cider and wine.com.
Mhm.
But you and people can come and taste. How much
Yeah.
of your 20 different varieties and multiple vintages of things do people get to try when they come and taste at your tasting room?
Yeah, so it's a by appointment tasting,
Okay.
and I've
Okay.
got a couple on tap at all times, and then it's just kind of it's I usually open up four bottles, sometimes
Okay.
three, sometimes six or seven, depending on the size. Yeah, and it's I don't know. I haven't had tasting. I kind of shut it down during harvest, but I'm about to kind of get it going again, the tastings. But I'm pretty much all out of my 2019s, and I like to let my wines and ciders hang out in the bottle for a while. I think a year is kind of ideal in how I build it into the business plan. I just think they show much better. Um,
Yeah.
and being pretty much a one-person operation, I still haven't labeled the 2020s. They're ready to go, but I just need to label them now. So, at the moment, it's kind of limited for what we can taste right now. But I'll pull out the forklift and we'll put it up to bar level height, and we'll go out front or out back and out in the sunshine and just have a good old time. So it's been fun. A lot
Yeah.
of nice
Where are you
folks.
located?
I'm right off the 101 in San Luis Obispo.
Lovely. All right. Good. All right. Just putting that out there for anybody cruising through the Central Coast. Um, how did you end up there? I mean, you've bounced around. You've been, came from the East Coast through Colorado, transversed the continent a couple times by
Yep.
bike a couple times,
Yep.
and now you're there. Did you have? Did you get a wine? Have you staged at a like as a apprentice winemaker or cider maker anywhere? I mean, and I kind of want to know the story of how you got fired from the brewery, but
Mm.
only if you want to tell it.
Yeah, that's fine. Uh, yeah, we can't forget Massachusetts, Kentucky,
Oh,
and Washington.
okay. So
um,
you've done time in each of those
that's,
fine states.
that's right.
That's
Oh,
nice.
and Montana. Yeah. Uh,
Nice. Right on. How long in each? How old are you? What are you like
yeah, I'm
90?
old. Yeah, I'm old. I'll just say that I'm old.
No, I'm kidding.
I got the gray hairs popping all in the beard, and you know,
uh,
but
how long did you spend in like what's the shortest amount of time in one of those states?
um, yeah. Let's see. So a year, a year.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good yeah, no, that's it's plenty of time.
but I still
So
claim it as a stop.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I claim Amsterdam. I was there for a year.
Heck yeah.
How long I mean, how long have you been where you are?
Yeah, so uh, 2018 and started the business in 19.
Did you come with that intent? You came with
Yes, yeah, yeah.
okay, like
From
this is what I'm
Colorado, yeah, with the intent change the career, change it up. And I
were you
guess
doing the edible landscaping thing in Colorado?
no, I was doing pharmacy in Colorado.
Pharmacy, okay.
Yeah, and on the weekends just fermenting.
Like a Green Cross pharmacy or
No,
like a
no, no,
more
no.
okay,
Yeah,
just
no,
checking, Colorado's ahead of us on that one, so
yeah.
um
No, this is
okay.
yeah, and so, but like I wasn't sure if I was gonna wanted to do beer or cider. I didn't think I knew enough to do wine, so I was like, all right, between these two, and I took a job at a brewery in Colorado, and a brewery that made good beer. They got a GABF medal. It's a real deal thing,
Yeah,
and
Colorado is I think Colorado is like the number one like microbrew state in the nation, actually. Like per capita there's more microbreweries than any other state.
and most of them are good.
Solid. Yeah, yeah. I lived in
So
Colorado, that's why I'm able to talk.
okay, yeah, I was into that
Spend a
beer
year.
scene very much so,
Nice.
but well, I just I don't know what I did wrong. I think the owner wanted me to do brew step by step exactly how he would have done it, and I just kind of tried to customize it a little bit just because I couldn't do it his way to the T, and he didn't like that, and
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough one to take that. I was like, oh gosh, well, there, my dream has been shut down pretty quick here. But yeah, just
Well, who knows? If you'd done well there, maybe you wouldn't be where you are now. We wouldn't get to taste these creative creations of yours.
yeah, I wish I was able to send you some bottles, before we talked, but
Ah,
crazy
I know, me
busy
too.
harvest time,
No,
couldn't
no,
make that
totally
happen.
fine. Yeah, this was like an impromptu thing. I'm glad you could make time for it. Um, so, but you that okay? So, when was the edible landscaping?
Yeah, so
I
that
just wanted to touch on that. Yeah.
yeah, that was in 2000. I started that in 2007 in California. So this is not my first time, and not my
Oh,
first rodeo in California.
you're a backslidden Californian.
Yep, I think it's my
Sure, you got out and they pulled you back in, huh?
gosh. Yeah,
I love that idea. I mean, I just can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah. It was. It wasn't. People. I don't know. I don't want to say it was before its time, but people. I don't know. They didn't get it. I don't even know if they do much of it now. But 2008 came around. That was a tough little thing. Tough little time. People weren't
Yeah.
spending money to put food in their lawn. Although that made. If you think about it now, that would make a lot of sense. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I was doing. I was. I wasn't even ripping up lawns. I was leaving them intact and in place, and doing throwing paper, big rolls of paper over them, and then straw and horse manure, and then removing the lawn that way. So keeping all
Right.
the yeah, and
Keeping all
planting,
that organic matter intact.
keeping it intact, and doing reshaping the land a little bit to, like I was talking about earlier, to instead of having the water run off your property, keep it on your property and slow it down,
Terraces
and
and
spread it
things
and
like
sink
that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and using urbanite, and planting trees, tons of fruit trees. That was an easy sell.
Yeah.
At least get some fruit trees in there for some people.
What
And
were the harder sell things?
oh, the food forest. I think I was amped up on food forests. I thought that, oh, this is the
So what's a
future.
food forest? What's that like?
I mean, I guess you're trying to mimic what you see out there. I don't want to say out in nature, because I think I feel like humans, we are part of nature. When
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
it's hard. It
I'm
took me
right
a
there with
while
you.
to understand that and see that, but it just cut layers. You have your ground cover, you have your vines, you have your short lower shrubs, you have your medium sized trees, your tall trees, and all this planted together, and
They all produce something or are completely edible themselves.
yeah, and they're helping one another, form this great little mini ecosystem that you can just throw up your hammock and just sit in it and pick food off of all around you. That was my vision. This is what I'm going to create for people.
The good life. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean I love that. I truly, truly love that. That's great. And so people wouldn't buy into it. Was it too messy for people?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was on the Central Coast here, and I don't know. It was the economy. It
It's a
was
little of this and a little of that kind of thing.
it just yeah, it just never really took off. I even switched over everything for my maintenance unit to battery powered equipment.
Okay.
So I was really trying to, and that
As
was
opposed to gas, you mean?
yes, it was all
Right.
battery powered stuff, and like that was when like green and sustainable were like the keywords, and I was
Right.
trying to be that and do that and see what would happen, and did some great projects, but yeah, never stuck.
Huh. So what I mean there's so much we could learn from you I think just about that. Are you doing that with your own yard now or I mean do you have a place where you can do that
Yes.
of your own?
I got a tiny little yard, and
What have you done
absolutely,
with it?
yeah, I'm all about perennials.
Yeah. So what are those? Like what do you got planted?
Gosh, I've got See, I live in a nice little climate. I got pomegranate, figs, I got bananas, I got blueberries, plums, citrus, apples, of course, apricot, rhubarb, and asparagus, and all the herbs and strawberries and
Yeah.
marionberries, and the list goes on. Growing other plants that like comfrey for one, which
Is it temperate enough that you can do avocado?
yes,
Got it.
yeah.
Nice. Coastal enough, I should say, I guess, getting that tempering. You should try macadamia nut if you haven't.
Yeah, I don't have
Does
that
really
much
well.
space though. I mean, I think if you
Uh,
planted a macadamia in the front and an avocado in the back, I'd have no more
that's it.
space. Yeah.
Hmm. Note to self: I have one of each of those in the front yard, along with a bunch of other stuff,
Well, the
pomegranate, and
macadamia is not too big, but and you can, of course, can how much you want to put
yeah,
into it.
hack it down.
Pruning, yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's what we're attempting to do, or I'm attempting to do. Yeah, oh, I love that. What do you do for ground cover?
I've got some clover, New Zealand white clover. Um,
Okay, can you eat that?
I suppose I don't know.
You don't eat it
I
though.
don't know. I've got plenty of
um,
other green things in
if
my
you had
garden to
sheep,
eat.
they could eat it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It takes a little less water than the Dutch variety.
Okay,
I like that in the food forest
it's a
setting.
nitrogen fixer too, if
Yeah.
I'm
hmm
not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some
Um,
chamomile too. You got to have some things that look pretty and smell nice too.
okay.
Got to throw some flowers in there too.
Yeah. Nasturtium is like one of my favorites. I mean, it's seasonal, if unless you're watering year round, but it's like a fantastic, like once it establishes itself, you have these beautiful flowers that pop up and spread around, sort of vine around as a ground cover, and they do well in low light, so they're great in the understory, under trees and things, and then you can eat them too.
Yeah, great in a salad. Absolutely.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, just trying little by little, making a little compost pile and use worm castings from the local farm and this and that, and just having fun. Really, it's kind of a hobby,
yeah.
and it is
Yeah.
nice to go out there and pick these odd heirloom varieties, bring it into the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you use the sort of passive solar aspects of permaculture where you have like, a big deciduous tree to give you shade in the summer, then it loses its leaves so you get sun in the winter kind of thing?
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite though. I live on coastal, cold, foggy Los Osos, and
Got it.
I don't want any
So you
shade.
don't want right. Got it.
but
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many techniques, and yeah, it's
You messing around with growing grapes?
just seedless Concord.
Okay. That's nice and easy. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I mean, still takes time, but like you probably don't have to spray that or do anything with that, I'm
Mm-mm,
guessing.
not yet.
Yeah, nice. I love that. Well, anything else that you would like to share about the cidery winery?
Hmm.
Anything that people that would be, or just anything, any closing words of wisdom,
Yeah.
or
No.
calls to action?
Ooh, no wisdom coming from me. Call to action. Gosh, I feel like I should have something, but
buy
oh,
buy s- buy some Durham cider,
y-
um, and
yeah.
wine.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's why I make it is for people to get excited about it. I just remember being in the beer scene in Colorado and just always being so excited about something new coming out, or just the excitement when I would pull a bottle from the fridge, and that's just what I want to pass on to people out there, and for them to know that I'm working with farmers who care about their soil, and certified organic or not, there's still everybody. All the fruit that I get is I don't like the phrase clean, but I feel like it's really it's grown well, at least with some a lot of it intent on doing better for the world.
Yeah, yeah, like with the intent of using farming as a tool to improve the environment rather than just extract wealth that
Yeah,
you can then cash in, kind of thing.
exactly. And I'm trying to be as transparent as I possibly can. I'll tell you anything you want to know, and I put that on the label as much as I can fit it in there. And I don't.
I mean, I'll just back that up and say, as I click on each of your photos of your ciders and wines, that you have pretty much just like bullet pointed anything anybody would want to know, from tasting notes to the kind of things that went into it, to the fermentation, to any additives or ingredients, and whether the vineyard was certified or how it was farmed, or vineyard or orchard or whatever, or yeah.
Yeah,
And so I love that. I love the transparency. Huge, important thing. Something, I'm going to throw this out to you, that I just saw like a pledge online that we're trying to participate in now, on our labels, is to list our bottle weight.
Mm.
the empty bottle weight, to start bringing attention to that, and be transparent about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I focus on finding the lightest weight bottle I can find. But
Yeah.
then it's like, well, it comes from a pretty far distance. Does that cancel out? Like the long trucking, does it cancel out? But
Well, yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. Like, not everybody has like a glass factory in their backyard. I mean, we do have some. I don't know if you know our dog group, but they're
mhm.
producing, here in California at least, so we can get California produced bottles. You know, as long as they're available and the supply chains aren't interrupted.
Mm.
But yeah, no, and it's tough too when you're doing sparkling because you have to have a heavier bottle. So it's all the more important, I think, to be conscientious about it, not just be like throwing weight on the bottle that's unnecessary because you're already, 30% more than like a
Yeah,
still wine needs to be because of the pressure.
yeah.
I mean, at minimum 30% more. But sorry, and then I cut you off. You were going to say some things. You were continuing to say some things about your wine, and how you try to be transparent and list things. And if anybody has any questions, you put that out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just juice. I try and keep it at that. Just bringing in good fruit and letting it do its thing. And it's nothing but juice. So I just want people to, I think you can kind of taste that. You can taste that it's hasn't been altered too much.
Uh
I mean,
huh.
of course, I have to alter it. I'm chopping the fruit and racking it here and there, but yeah, it's. I just hope people feel good when they drink it.
Oh, stylistically, how would you describe it? Because I know it is bare bones in terms of intervention, but you're making choices. Obviously, we all make choices about when to pick, and that's going to affect at least acidity levels and things like that. Your co-ferments or choices. Stylistically, what do you like? Like, what are you making?
Mm. Um, Stylistically, I like. I've been into the skin contact wines, so I did a 2 week skin contact Riesling this
And then
year.
that's fizzy too.
No, that's gonna be. I think that's gonna be a still wine. It might be my first corked wine. I usually crown cap. The
Oh,
I have done a
yeah,
still wine, and I crown capped it. But I think that might be the first one I put a cork in.
nice.
uh, but you know, playing around with these different fruits, plums. I think plums and grapes and apples are really nice. And then as far as just straight apple and cider, um, it's tannins are fun. Um,
Okay.
but I do, I guess balanced, right? Everybody wants to make a balanced
Well, no,
beverage,
but that's
but
fair.
that's
That's fair. I think then people kind of, will just come to see, the fruit and everything. I mean, there's some people who are like acid heads, and like you're gonna get searing acidity on pretty much everything they make. Other people like I don't know. Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
all over
and
the
if you're
board. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
I've made 50 in 3 years, 50 different bottlings. So I mean, you're gonna find something you like, I think. Uh,
I love that.
but
Yeah,
so when you're blending, of course, then it's the balance is important. But then doing these single variety ciders is kind of fun too. When you find that apple that has that balance already there,
yeah.
that's kind of
Do you have
fun.
is there a variety that you think you find that in regularly?
Yeah, absolutely. Harrison, I think by far is my
Harrison.
favorite apple. I don't know if that's because it was discovered in New Jersey, but
Ah, there's a
it
town named Harrison, New Jersey.
Yeah, dirty Jersey, but I love that apple, and I think it can stand alone. You don't need to do it blending. Yeah,
It's funny is people think of Jersey because it's, Jersey Shore. It's like across the river from Manhattan. It's got that urban thing, but Jersey is like much more of an agricultural state than most people. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm in Pennsylvania and the blueberries are from Jersey. I'm from Pennsylvania. So, and like, no joke, like every time I go to buy blueberries in Pennsylvania, they're from Jersey. It's a
the
big
gar-
agriculture state. Yes.
the
The
Garden
Garden State.
State. Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Tomatoes, corn,
Yeah,
peaches, blueberries.
yeah.
Yeah,
You have the high acid soils from and then you get the sand. You get that. It's sort of like that very good for the high acid crops like berries. The blueberries and
don't
berries.
forget cranberries. Yeah,
And cranberries, right? Yeah, it's nice. Okay, great. Just putting a positive word out there for Dirty Jersey.
Yes, yes.
We elevated Jersey and just ragged on Michigan and all of Canada
Oh,
this
that's right.
episode.
And only South Jersey too. Let's rag on North Jersey because we don't
Okay.
like North Jersey. So strictly South Jersey gets props.
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, I'm very excited to try your stuff. I'm hoping this has wet everyone's whistle to try it as well. It sounds like your intent will be something worth checking out in your beverages, and I'm excited to try that. And thank you for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me on, and I hope my words are interesting to you and whoever listens to this. So check me out. Come by for a taste. Hit me up if you got any questions. And
Is there, yeah, do you, just to close out, do you have a way you prefer people to get in touch with you? Is there email, Instagram, whatever? Go to the website?
Yeah, I think you mentioned the website, Durham Cider and Wine.com. All my information is there, emails, and maybe even a phone number. I don't know. Instagram, Durham.cider.wine. And, just come by. Find me. I'm kind of nondescript. I don't have any signs in front of my building, but
It's the speakeasy.
just come by and smell for the good quince apple grape smell is coming out.
This time of year especially, it's got to smell wonderful.
Oh, it does. It's so good.
All right. Well, thanks. Great. I hope you do get some traffic, and I will definitely be one of those people.